It's time to check out some awesome rockets. All right, first up is the Estes multi-rock in the single stage configuration, flying on an Estes 13mm A3-4 motor with a 12-inch parachute, which turned in a very short, low altitude flight, but a good one. Let's watch it. And no broken fins, the advantage of using a parachute instead of a streamer. All right, now let's move on to the Starlight Whiplash 2, where I had the objective of just getting a good video of the flight. All right, let's watch me getting the rocket ready for flight. This flight was on an Estes A8-0 18mm motor, staging to a 13mm half A3-4 Estes motor, where I use the Estes 18 to 13mm motor adapter. And here we're going to watch me get the motors fitted in well. On the sustainer motor, the retention is friction fit, where I make sure that the motor is in tight enough in the sustainer section. And on the booster section, I have a motor hook where I clipped off the upper tang so that the motor could slide in through the top. It's a little bit of a meticulous process to get everything to fit together just right, but I eventually get there. I like that shiny streamer that came with the rocket. Looks good. Here we're seeing me put some wadding in the rocket to protect that streamer from getting burnt up when the ejection charge goes off. So it's not as great of a video as I was hoping for, but hey, it's still better than the video I got of the last time I flew it on this motor combination. It's just such a small rock and it goes so fast. It's hard to get a good video. Now let's get to this blue rocket that we saw in the background while I was prepping the last one. And for this flight, we had two objectives. One was evaluating this parachute protector, and the other one was trying out the Estes screw-on motor retainer. Let's see how it goes. So here we're going to watch me go through the somewhat long process of installing the parachute protector and connecting the shock cord and the parachute and everything together. And I'm showing this video so we can see how I did it. Couple notes I want to make while we watch me tie this recovery system together. The first is that the motor that we're going to see this rocket fly on is the Quest C12 Qjet, which is a black max motor, which should have plenty of smoke. And the other is the torque requirement on the screw-on retainer. That's just hand tight. That's all I did when I screwed it on, is I just made sure it was hand tight. And by the way, I used epoxy to glue the part that goes to the motor tube on, and looks pretty strong. By the way, that other cord that we see me tying to the elastic is paracord from Hobby Lobby. So that parachute there is not the full size purple and white Estes parachute. I traced out a smaller parachute on it and cut it out because the material still works fine for doing that. And I have a lot of those bigger parachutes laying around and I need to use them. So I cut them into smaller parachutes. Nice. Let's see, is the parachute open? Does look like it's open. So overall, it looks okay. The chute protector itself had some burn or scorch marks, as did one piece of the shock cord, but everything else looked pretty good. Now let's get on to a rocket that is amenable to streamer recovery because the trailing edge of the fins are forward swept, and that rocket is the Quest Icarus. So let's watch it fly on an Estes C6-5 motor with streamer recovery. Okay, excellent. So that's the launch pad, and that's the rocket. Wow, phenomenal. Go check it out. Hi to the other camera. Oh yeah. Over my head. See it. Okay, excellent. Oh yeah, that looks good. Cool. That worked great. All right, now let's check out the Custom Rocketry Galaxy flying on the Estes C6-5 motor. And we are going to determine if this delay is too long for this rocket or not, even when it's flown straight up. Okay, nice. See if I can zoom in. There we go. Excellent. Looks great. So one of the most important aspects of model rocketry is predicting the performance of the rocket. And in this example, I didn't exactly start from scratch, but I used a little bit of an iterative type technique. So step one was flying the Estes Olympus on an E11 motor, which you see there in the picture and we saw in a previous video. And from that flight on the E11 motor with the Jolly Logic Altimeter 3, I recorded the altitude, the speed, and the acceleration. And after that, or probably before that, I drew the rocket in Open Rocket. By that I mean I got the actual geometry of the rocket plugged into Open Rocket software, so that way Open Rocket can accurately account for the drag on the rocket, which depends on how big it is, more or less the shape of the rocket. So I'm sitting there on Open Rocket I have the rocket drawn, and I have my altimeter data from the previous flight on the E11-3 motor. And so what I did is I played with the weight of the rocket until I got the simulated altitude from the E11 simulation to match up with my actual data. I didn't weigh the rocket before I launched it. And so that's why I needed to do this. But this iterative technique helps you to really like hone in on getting the E11 simulation to match the E11 actual data. And from there, I plugged in the E18 motor instead of the E11 into the simulation and saw what Open Rocket gave me for the altitude, the speed, and the acceleration of that flight. And then after I did that, I compared the E18 simulated data to Jolly Logic altimeter 2 data from the actual E18 flight. And the results came out pretty darn good. Let's check out the flight. The E18 has a really loud, nice roar for such a relatively small motor. It sounds like it's bigger than an E motor when it takes off. One other note is that this flight actually took place before I did the E18 simulation in Open Rocket, but that in no way validates the prediction technique that I'm showing here. All right, so to wrap this up, I put this graphic back up here and I drew a red box on the simulated versus actual values of the flight on the E18. And we can see that the altitude and the speed were very close. The acceleration was a little bit off, not completely sure why the acceleration was a little bit off. It could be based on how the sensor was mounted in the rocket on the shot cord, but not entirely sure. But the altitude and speed, very close. I would definitely say that Open Rocket works for this. If I want to fly the Olympus on a different motor besides the E18, I'll be able to use this data from the E11 and E18 flights to predict how high and how fast it will go on a different motor I may want to put in it. I know. That rocket on the right is not a Cherokee E. But yeah, it is. It's close enough. It is a Cherokee E, but with different fins on it. And if you already subscribed to the channel, you would already know that because we've seen this rocket before. 3, 2, 1. So that was the regular Cherokee E, built with the fins that came with it, flying on a Quest D16 Qjet with a 4-second delay. And since I was standing pretty far away from it when it launched, you can see how short the burn is. It almost looked like it ejected a little bit too soon as well.
Oh, I can't even believe it.
So the motor in that was the Aerotech D13 reload for the 18/20 casing, and it's the second time we've seen that motor fly on this channel. And I'll just come right out and say it. It's the best 18 millimeter motor I've about ever seen. I love this motor. It's great. I love putting together a small reload, and the performance is just excellent on it. Extremely high impulse, 19.3 Newton seconds. Can't beat that. That's just an awesome motor. In fact, what I should have done is I should have flown the D13 in the regular Cherokee E because it has bigger fins, and the D16 Qjet and the modified Cherokee E because it has the smaller fins. Maybe I'll have to try that next time. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. So, quiz question. What happened to the Cherokee E fins that came with the rocket that I didn't use? Answer choice A, they got put on another rocket. Answer choice B, they went into the trash. Answer choice C, all the above. That's right. Answer choice C is correct. All of the above.
So let's see what happened here. It did hold together. So, but the inside of the body tube is very charred. Very charred. Back still looks good. That might be some heat damage right there.
I threw the rocket away in case there was more damage that I couldn't see. It wasn't worth the risk of having some sort of failure on a future flight. It's easy enough to just build new rockets. All right, so as I wrote on the page, this doesn't look good. It is a true motor failure, but I want to point out that these are very rare. This is the first Qjet failure of any sort that I personally have ever had, and I've flown quite a few of them. And I also want to note that the other one that came in the package, I flew after this one, and it worked perfectly fine. In fact, we already saw it earlier in this video in the Blue Rocket. Remember that time when I flew the Quest Astra on an Estes C6-7 with the altimeter in it, which I turned on but forgot to set it to be ready for launch, and so I didn't get any data. Well, I wanted to give that another try finally, and I finally got around to it. So here it is. That launch looked basically identical to last time. This rocket landed pretty far away for such a small rocket. (861 feet altitude). I was thinking it might go a little bit higher than that, but that's about right. Coast to apogee, 5.2 seconds. Excellent coast time. And the apogee to eject, 1.1, perfect. Right after apogee, that's good. The ejection at 846 feet, that's right below apogee, that's perfect. Descent of 7 miles per hour. Really slow, that's why it was so far away probably. Duration, 81 seconds. That's a lot longer than the multi-rock that we saw at the beginning of the video.
All right, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out all the other awesome rocketry content that I have on the channel. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, which you apparently have, you'll probably enjoy some of the other videos I have, which includes rocket build tutorials, rocket launch playlist, and all sorts of other things about rocketry like understanding thrust curves and assembling a reloadable motor. So make sure you check all those videos out. We'll see you next time.